Welcome to the Free Your Spirit podcast. I'm your guide, Carole Frey, founder of Free Spirited Wanderer, a conscious wellness business of yoga retreats, lifestyle coaching, and yoga teacher mentorship. In this podcast, we explore conscious business, yoga on and off the mat, and general lifestyle. Our aim is to help you live a more fulfilling and purposeful life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, yoga student, yoga teacher, or simply someone looking to make positive changes in your daily life. Join us as we share insights, tips, and stories to inspire you on your path to a more free-spirited life. So sit back, relax, and let's embark on a journey of self-discovery, adventure, and expansion. Hello, and welcome back to the Free Your Spirit podcast. I'm your host, Carole Frey. I hope you are all doing amazing wherever you are in the world today, and thank you for being here. So today's episode is about 5 reasons to join an FSW retreat. And basically, when I was thinking about, the values of my business and the type of people that I want to bring in, what I want to offer in these spaces, I sat down and turned these into 5 reasons to join one of our retreats. And what I really wanted to do with this was to speak to people who are in alignment with our values, our mission, and what we're up to. And I really want you, if you're, interested in a retreat, when someone is looking at a retreat and looking at these spaces, I want them to feel really called to this space. I want them to feel this deeper connection to it, this excitement. And again, also that their values, their beliefs also align with what we're up to as well. And I think that's just really important as we grow community and grow these retreats and, make the decision to come on a retreat, because again, it's just important that we align with the values that the retreat offers, right? We want to be able to receive the benefits that this retreat is speaking to. So these 5 reasons are basically just our values that we hold on these spaces. So today I'll just go over all 5 just to give you a little bit more in-depth, just more in-depth to it. And you can find these listed on our retreats page on our website as well, but we'll obviously dive in a little bit deeper today. So number 1 is community building. And if you've been listening to this retreat or you've been with me for a while, you've probably heard this quite a bit. And this is one of our main things, one of the main concepts we have within these retreats. And it's to build Kula, this intentional community, the feeling that life is best when shared. And really these retreats, these FSW retreats, aim to bring people together where they can connect and share in these transformational practices and build these lifelong friendships. And these are very, very sacred spaces, right? And this is really an opportunity for people to come together to support, uplift, and empower one another. It's also this reminder that we are better together. And if you go back to the energy of a women's retreat, or even the episode of why every retreat group is so special, I dive into this a little bit more. And just, each retreat we try to get really specific, like I said, of who we're talking to, because we want you to get excited about this retreat. And we want to bring these like-minded and like-hearted people together. So we really do try to speak to this retreat as a whole and to just perhaps a specific person. So number 1 is that community building. And we do this through the yoga practices, the excursions, we have these coffee chats, and it's also just natural connection as well, right? We meet new people, we want to talk to them, we want to get to know them. We might share things that we wouldn't normally share with other people because there is a safe space that's created. So this community building is really, really important, and something that, honestly, it's my favorite part of these retreats is just meeting people from all over the world and getting to connect with other people, seeing other people connect together. I mentioned this on one of the other episodes that, I really have seen these lifelong friendships form. And I've had people that I've paired together just randomly on a retreat that, I thought might get along. And on another retreat, they chose to room together. And I've seen people at our local studio that end up practicing next to each other that didn't know each other beforehand. So there is a really, really powerful community aspect that comes from it. And it's really, really beautiful to watch. Number two is self-reflection. So, although community is really important and, we thrive off having that community and being around these people, this self-reflection and time for ourselves is equally important. And I think this is a lot of what, people are seeking, right? To get to know themselves on a deeper level. And this is what yoga does, right? Through these through the physical yoga practice, meditation, the journaling exercises we do, even just that rest and relaxation, this really enables you, it enables you to meet yourself, right? Just to discover who you are. Like, what does a successful life mean to you? What does it mean to thrive? What does happiness and joy mean for you? And you get to have the opportunity to take this space to get a little bit more clear on that. And really, this yoga practice is about meeting our true self. And even, so we have the Yoga Sutras. And Yoga Sutra 1.3, it is Tata Drashtu Svarupe Vashtanam. And this is, then the seer, the self, abides in its own true nature. So basically what this is saying is when we can calm the fluctuations of our mind, which is Yoga Sutra 1.2, when we can calm these fluctuations and find this space of stillness, quiet, clarity, then we can see our true self. When the mind is distorted, when it's cluttered, when it's moving a million miles an hour, it's hard to find clarity. And one of my favorite analogies with this too is when you look at a body of water, say a lake, and there's ripples in the lake that represents like those ripples in the mind. And when we have those ripples, it's hard to see the bottom, right? Because there's ripples and waves going. Now, when this water is still, we can see clearly through this stillness. So the mind is the same way, right? And I'm sure you've experienced that, right? When you have this stillness in this yoga practice, connecting breath with movement or meditation, when we find this stillness, we find that eternal joy. And this is what the goal is to find this like remembrance that we do have this internal joy, that our true self is eternal. And we try to figure out what that means to us. So this is one of the opportunities that you have on these retreats, is especially through the journaling. I think because it's not something we give ourselves time to. A lot of people that come have a yoga practice, have a meditation practice or pranayama practice. The journaling, from just my experience of people I've met, not as many people do. And I love this journaling because we get to get really clear on what we want our life to look like. We get to get clear on our emotions, what's coming up for us. We write down our fears as well as our love for things, right? The things that excite us. And I just think it's a great way to, understand ourselves a little bit more clearly. And then again, the meditation and the yoga practice just offers us this space to start to find the stillness of the mind, to calm the fluctuations of the mind so we can abide in that true nature. And we talk about this a lot more on the retreats of what this actually means. But yeah, number two is just this self-reflection so you can get to know your true self. And ultimately, so you can live your life with meaning and fulfillment. Number three is new healthy habits. So these retreats are really a perfect reset, and they enable you to remember what truly matters within your life. So when you're on these retreats, there's a space that's created that encourages you to wake up earlier. All the times are different depending on where the retreat is, but sometimes we practice as early as 7:30 a.m., sometimes even 9:30 a.m. So oftentimes people are waking up much earlier than they do at home, at least quite a few people that I have on these retreats. We also eat healthier. I mean, the food at basically all the places we go, it's really, really light, it's healthy, it's nourishing. It gives you the sustainability to move through the day, but without feeling that fatigue or sluggishness that we can feel from our food. I will say it, especially in the US. So there's just this lightness within the meals and also just this nutrition that supports you to go through your day. But there really is an element of just like the body cleanses through a lot of these, the fruits, the vegetables, the grains. Every place we've gone, I mean, the food has just been absolutely fantastic. And my body always feels really, really good from it. Now, the other thing you're encouraged to do, right, is through the physical yoga practice, it strengthens and opens the body. We also begin to quiet the mind. We have a space to move out of our comfort zone, and we learn how to hold this rest in equal value to the work that we do. So basically, we put all of this together. We start to, naturally cultivate some of these habits on the retreats just because of the schedule of the retreat. And besides this, in some of these workshops, we do a lot of Ayurveda, which is the sister science to yoga. And this is really where I teach the importance of routine, food as medicine, healthy habits. We go over all of this pretty in-depthly so you can take this back home with you. So basically, through just the energy of this retreat of waking up earlier, doing these practices twice a day, as well as maybe, hiking or kayaking, swimming, it's a lot of, physical movement. So from this, it just encourages you to find these new healthy habits. And what happens is as you start to do these on the retreat, it's basically you get more excited to bring them back home with you. There's a little bit more joy around it because hopefully you've started to experience some of the benefits of what this practice brings you. And this is our last one, but it starts to bring in yoga as a lifestyle. So yeah, just through these practices and also through the workshops of really diving deep into, how to create a routine that works and serves your mind and body, as well as just learning more about your body, learning more about the foods that work for you. So basically you just have, something to take back home with you. And my hope is that you feel just excited to start to, keep this within your life and to kind of really keep that momentum going of just notice like, okay, I feel good when I wake up at this time. So let me, continue to wake up at this time and have this slow morning where I can drink my lemon water and sip my coffee and journal and meditate, do my yoga practice, walk, right? Whatever it is, you get to cultivate that and create that for yourself. But my goal or my hope for you, my prayer for you is that there's an excitement to bring this back home with you and to really maintain that. Number 4 is explore the world. So, and you probably have seen my, our little headline, explore the world, free your spirit. And so this is where that comes from. But so every retreat location is really intentionally chosen. It's beauty, culture, the people, overall atmosphere has had a really positive impact on my life and has really been a huge part of who I am today. And for some of the other retreats or some of the locations that I haven't been to, we have a couple new locations. However, they are something that have spoken to me, and I know that they are the perfect spot for a retreat. And as I found these retreat centers and I connected with them and I was in alignment with their values and what they offer in the space that they want to provide as a yoga retreat center. So that lights me up, and I feel like this calling to this that okay, this is going to be great. This is going to be wonderful. And I know this has some type of healing and transformation that it can bring to the participants within this location. So I really do take a ton of time to research where we're going. A ton of time, and just every place trying to find, really the perfect retreat center, speaking to the host there that, again, I connect with and I, vibe with as well. And I'm in alignment with them. So I spend a lot of time researching this. And then I really try to create the retreat around the location. I want to speak to the culture there. I want to speak to the people, the land, and I want to create a retreat around what's already there because these locations really do speak for themselves. They all have a really, really special energy to them. They all have something to offer. So I like to look at that and create the retreat around that so we can continue to support the culture, the land, the people, and just continue to emphasize that and add to it. And the other thing I'll say on this, why we go to these international places as well as, within the US is travel for me is it just lights my soul on fire. It is a huge part of who I am. And I just love learning about the culture of all these different places. And it has given me a beautiful perspective on life. I've loved meeting people from all over the world, learning how they live, learning just what they're up to in this area of the world. And it's been really fascinating for me that I feel like, I loved the high school I went to. I loved the college I went to. I did a lot of study abroad, and I really do feel like the study abroad is what I got the most out of just actually that lived experience of traveling and being in these places. That has stuck with me more than, what I learned in the classroom. And I did have a lot of great classes in college. I was a business major, so I'm obviously using a lot of those teachings as well. But it's the travel that has stuck with me, and that really has, made me who I am. And it's helped me live my life to the fullest. And the other thing I'll say on this is travel is not always easy. How do I even say this? It's not easy, right? And there's always something that comes up, right? There's delays, flight cancellations. We have to wait longer than we thought. Maybe our body doesn't agree with a different type of food, or there's a bit of a culture shock of where we are. I'll say for me, culture shock it happens for me when I come back from the US, but that's a different topic. But yeah, there's a lot of hardships that come with traveling, right? And there's a lot we have to do to travel, to get the passports, the visas. Some places like Nepal we're going, there's certain vaccines you have to have. So there's a lot required of us to travel. So it's not easy. And I will say also, as we do travel, I think it's a great place for us to get to know ourselves, right? We see how we handle the hardships, the challenges that face us. And on retreats as well, sometimes the schedule changes. In Vermont, our shuttle just stopped running, and luckily we were just in the driveway still, but the shuttle bus decided to stop working. And, everyone handled it very, very well. And someone actually came up to me and they were like, I think you planned this. I think you were testing us to see how we handled the situation and if we were practicing our yoga. And we laughed about it. I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. But anyways, no, I did not plan it. However, those are the type of situations that happen all the time, right? And when we travel, we're not escaping our life. We're not escaping things back home. Travel and these retreats are really an extension of who we are. And it shows us how we show up in life, right? Again, how do we handle these challenges? And I'll have to say, everyone with the shuttle bus, it probably took like an hour to get everything sorted. And we got everything sorted. Scott was amazing. The person we rented the van showed right up. That's a great thing about small towns in Vermont as well. However, everyone just handled it really well. And they were just like, you know what, we can't control the situation. So we might as well just surrender to this, enjoy each other's company, sit out in the sun. And everyone made the best of it. So I will say, sometimes things like that happen and we can't predict it. We can't control it. So this is where our yoga comes into play as well. So why I think travel is absolutely incredible, I will say a lot of the incredible parts for me have been some of the struggles. I've had a lot of just unexpected things happen while traveling, and it's made me stronger. It's made me a better person. And again, it's taught me about myself. So there's just something to be said for that. All right. And number 5, our last one. So this is yoga off the mat. So my overall mission as a yoga teacher is to help more people take yoga off the mat and live it as it was intended, which is really a lifestyle. And, so often a lot of people think of yoga just as the physical practice, just as the time spent on the mat. But it's so much more than that, right? It's taking all of the elements into our everyday life. And again, it's how can we live this meaning and fulfilling life? How can we, that's also in alignment with our most authentic self. So The yoga practice is, again, like I even read that 1.3, the Yoga Sutra, about abiding in our true nature. These practices help us get to know ourselves and help us learn how to take these practices off the mat. And just like we said with the travel, it's how are we showing up in life and living our yoga? And living our yoga is in our relationships. Again, it's when we're in the car driving. It's when we're traveling. It's when we're at the yoga studio before even getting on our mat. It's at work, it's at home, it's all the time. It's 24/7. We are living our yoga. And this is one of the things that we really emphasize on these retreats is yoga off the mat. And, I've even had people, so I actually used to have this, twice daily yoga practices. And I had some people ask me, like, oh, I don't see this as twice daily yoga. And a lot of people think of this, not all the time, but a couple of days I do a workshop in the afternoon. And this workshop will be yoga philosophy. It'll be, on the 8 limbs of yoga, maybe the Yoga Sutras. Again, we also do Ayurveda, where we tap into that sister science of yoga. And just like these group lifestyle discussions as well. So when I sometimes say like twice daily yoga, it doesn't necessarily mean the physical yoga practice. It's also meditation, it's the pranayama, it's the yoga philosophy, it's the journaling, the study, the group connection and community. And we usually do this in our coffee chats now. So we do sometimes have twice daily physical practices and sometimes we don't. So that's something I've had to get specific on and let other people know that the physical yoga practice is not the only part of yoga. We have 8 limbs of yoga, and asana, the physical practice, is just one of those limbs. And I'll do another podcast on the 8 limbs of yoga where we can talk about the yamas and the niyamas and the other limbs as well. So that's just one thing I like to say on here because, it's not just the physical practice. So really these retreats are helping us to take yoga off the mat. And again, we do these studies, we do the physical practice, the meditation, the breath work, the journaling, and then we also have the excursions and we have the free time. We have that self-reflection, that community building, the traveling. So all of this together is what teaches us how to take yoga off the mat, right? Again, like I said, I want these retreats to be an extension of your life rather than you feeling like it's an escape from your life. So these are an extension of who you are. You are living your life to the fullest, showing up for yourself, committing to that best version of yourself, your future self. So that is an element of the yoga off the mat. And, I could continue to talk about this and dive in way, way deeper. This is, our entire life can be focused just on this. But I really do love having these spaces that we do get to teach yoga off the mat and we get to, we're outside in fresh air and we can do these pranayama practices where that's the best place to do it with this fresh air flowing. And these meditation practices when you're out in nature, listening to the birds or hearing the river flow or the ocean waves. And there's just something really healing about that to be in those spaces. And, you also think about the energy of a retreat center, all the people that have been there from all over the world, offering what they have to this space. And to me, that's really cool. And it just you feel that when you're there, you feel that space. So for me, I just think there's a sense of where it is almost easier to do some of these practices and to learn these teachings. The other thing I forgot to mention before, again, obviously we're not home, so we don't have that, the typical duties that we have. We're not working. We don't have to cook for ourselves. We don't really have to clean. We don't have those typical things. Another thing too is we're not on our phones as much. We're not on our computers. So there is this time of where we get to disconnect from that outer world to connect with our inner world. And I do also think that's part of those, new healthy habits of less time on social media and on our email and more time with ourselves and the people that are around us. So anyways, I hope I didn't get too sidetracked there, but just, to kind of talk about the overall atmosphere of these retreats. So these are our 5 things, our 5 reasons that I offer you to join an FSW retreat. And again, I want these 5 reasons to resonate with you. I want you to, see the value in this, or that your values are the same as your values, right? That you connect with this, you feel lit up by this. This is a space that you want to be a part of. And maybe you want to be a part of this space by yourself. You come as a solo traveler, or maybe you come with a family member, a friend, a spouse. I have such a wide variety of people that come and how they choose to come. And I really love that. And I just always see people connect together, no matter if they come with somebody else or come by themselves. So there's something to be said for, however you want to join a retreat. But yeah, so these are our 5 reasons. Number 1, community building. Number 2, self-reflection. Number 3, new healthy habits. Number 4, explore the world. And number 5, yoga off the mat. And you'll hear me, dive in deeper to some of these throughout the podcast. And if you join me on a retreat, you'll definitely experience this to the fullest as well. And lastly, I think a lot of you might know that we have our 2024 retreat launch coming up. So we are announcing these to the public on July 17th. And if you would like to join my email list, we'll put the link at the bottom in the show notes. You have time to do that still, because we are just launching them for early access for the email list starting today is Thursday, so July 13th. So you can still access those early access to the retreats, as well as to get the specials. They're one-time only limited specials that we do for, people that subscribe as a thank you for those of you that have subscribed to our email list. So it's not too late. You can join through the show notes below. And if you prefer not to, we'll have these launched to the public, like I said, on July 17th. So I'm really, really excited. We have some really epic places we're going. We have a really, really big year. And a lot of these places, I can't wait to share more about each place as well. And just, its own energy and magic and medicine it has to offer. So I will leave you with that today, and I hope you join us for one of our retreats, or I hope you find another retreat that just speaks to you so deeply that you feel so excited by and so called by, and you feel like it's a space that, you get to know yourself or build community or whatever it is you're looking for. And, I recommend that you get clear on what you are looking for within a retreat, because that will help you make a decision on which retreat you would like to join, whether it's with which teacher or which location, whatever that is. Just get clear on what you're looking for first and put that out into the world, and that retreat will find you the same way you find it. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and got to learn a little bit more about our values, our mission, the space that we aim to create. And until next week, keep showing up as your truest, most authentic self.